Hello and welcome to the Watchdog. We are joined by today Ms. Dr. Muzamil Maqbool, PhD International Relations, and is a senior fellow at International Rumi Peace Centre. Today we are going to discuss the Erdogan's win in Turkey. For the fifth straight time, he has won the Turkish election. Mr. Muzamil Maqbool, you are very welcome on our program today.
Thank you so much, Abrar. It's really an honor to have you. It's really an honor to be on your show.
Thank you so much. So tell us, the other one has he has won the Turkish presidential elections for the fifth straight time, and the world is viewing it with mixed opinions. Some are saying that he has hijacked the Turkish constitution in certain manners, and while some Muslims, especially, they are celebrating his win. So what does it mean for the world altogether, and for India and for Kashmir, maybe in some scenarios? What does it mean for the world, sir?
That's actually a very good question. Let me divide this question in two parts. If we will divide it, Turkey's population right now, the 50% are with the opponent, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, who has been the opposition leader of Erdogan, and the 50% has been with Erdogan. So what happens, back in 2003 when Erdogan started his politics in Turkey, he somehow started with a very, very firm liberal and open leader, to the masses, to his own people, and to the people
Yes.
outside, especially West. Until 2013, he continued that stance, becoming a hyper extra open liberal person, for his own populace. But from 2013, he has entirely changed his own stance, wherein he has, taking the entire journey of his politics towards, becoming a hardliner, right wing as well as Islamist. Well, you would not say you 50% of the population who have voted, Erdogan to win fifth time. This would be, if he completes his fifth term, this would be 25, years in politics,
Yes.
for him. So
That's
you have to
huge, very
understand
huge.
that absolutely, you have to understand that 50%, the half population of entire Turkey is supporting him, and whether the West, proposes this, perpetuates this, and sort of sets the paradigm as an Islamist. It is somehow okay with those 50% of population in Turkey, and they accept him. And when you say that, how I do see this as a win for him as well as for other countries. So you need to understand that he is hyper nationalist. He has been
Yes.
hyper nationalist from day one. He has been the pro Turkey from the day one. He has not only developed roads, infrastructure, buildings, hospitals, colleges, schools, and underground metro lines, but he has also put in a lot of infrastructure when it comes to our own religion, Islam, as well. So
Yes.
that's what the people like. People like aura. People like when he speaks about Islam. People like when he speaks about other marginalized Muslims across the world. Especially Rohingya refugees. He has spoken on behalf of Rohingya refugees and Syrian refugees as well. Time and again. So I have personally witnessed, his team, his entire entourage coming, when a mass influx came in 2017 from Myanmar to Bangladesh. Turkey and the organizations of the Turkey, especially TICA,
Yes.
was working on the ground zero from the day one, ever since the mass exodus took place in 2017. So the aura continues, and in next 5 years, I am not sure what kind of laws he's going to change, but I would accept with your question when you say that there is a mixed direction. People say that he has changed a lot of things. I know a lot of
Yes, of course. Especially in
constitution.
terms of the constitution. Right.
Absolutely, a lot of laws, that has given him a sort of impunity, sort of open impunity to coming back from president to prime minister. And if let's talk about the referendum in 2017 when the massive referendum take place, the country was divided 50% with uh, Kemal, Kılıçdaroğlu. I'm sorry, I'm not very familiar with this name, and 50%
Yes.
were with Erdogan. So that tells us that there is a population. 50% of the population in Turkey is liberal. 50% of the population do go very well with Erdogan, and they do accept him as his leader. And the fact is that this is the 10th time the opposition leader, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu has lost the elections in Turkey.
Let me ask you this question, and I think the West, of course, has been looking at Erdogan's win in a very negative manner, in a sense that he is a hardline Muslim, as you have mentioned it. But do you feel that the nature of Turkey as a liberal country, it has been one of the only liberal country amongst the Muslim nations, how the West views it? Do you feel that with his another term, the liberal nature, the liberal fabric of the Turkish society, Turkish democracy, is under the threat?
I would say, a lot of things changed from 2013. If we will go deep down and understand the LGBTQR plus rights, were denied. A lot of people, who align themselves, through these communities of LGBTQR plus, they have been under constant threat. They feel that they are no more secure. The change, the entire dive from being a hyper liberal to a hardliner Islamist. That's what the West says. It's not; these are not my words. That's what the West propagates him as. As an hardliner and a hardcore Islamist from last 7 8 years. Uh, a lot of people have seen this as a threat, and media kind of perpetuate. They kind of intoxicate things in you. They kind of set a paradigm in people's mind that this person is anti, this anti that, and a lot of things would change. And that's what is happening. Media has been, especially the Western media, they haven't played, a massive role in changing the narrative from good Erdogan to bad Erdogan right now. And at the same time, it is open and shut case right now. 50% of the Turkey are not with Erdogan, and 50% of the Muslims who aligned themselves not only with AK Party and the two other major partners of the AK Party who are also the right-wing parties in Turkey, they align with them completely, and the 50% of the population are with the liberal ways, and they accept more of the liberal Turkey, and they wanted it to see, and they wanted it to get it in this election, which happened very recently. But again, Erdogan has won, as I said, because of aura, because of support, and obviously the 2 3%. The vote share has been 51-49. That's what the vote share has been right now. So we need to understand that a massive population is against him. So
Yes.
let's not take it as a major, a landslide victory, but let's take it as a, if at all he comes, these are the 5 years for him to make progress.
Yes.
These are the 5 years for him to set a space for even opposition leaders so that he can reconcile, restart, and reactivate the things which have been eradicated in the past.
Let me ask you about the refugees living in Syria. There are almost, I think, 3.5 million refugees living in Syria, and sorry, in Turkey. And you have worked with refugees, of course, in Myanmar regarding when there was this crisis, the Rohingya crisis. I want to know what does it mean for those Erdogan's win? What does it mean for them? How do they see it, and would they finally have a relief, some sort of relief from Turkey, and would the world stand with them if Turkey stands for them?
Well, no, let me start this by thing. This one thing. Refugees around the world are in a very vulnerable situation, very tough situations. Imagine leaving one's house and going to some other country and start living on your daily wages or your daily food rations and tickets, which you get from the UNHCR, IOM, or other governmental and support organizations. Regarding these 3.5, 3.5 million refugees, close to 4 million refugees, Syrian refugees, which are there from last 15 years, Turkey initiated a program called Turkey Compact, Turkey Compact, which has been supported by UNDP, and they proposed that there should be concession from the countries like United Kingdom, Canada, United States, and European Union and United Nations, as well. So the concession would be the big players, the business players of Turkey would make sure that they will involve these refugees into reconstruction after the major two earthquakes which happened this year.
Yes.
So they wanted to involve these close to 4 million refugees in reconstructing the entire Turkey. So that is one thing. That is one thing. If at all this program would start, Turkey Compact, would be implemented, it will be a massive win not only for the refugees, 4 million refugees, But each and every player, each and every country involved in it, and if at all, there would be concessions granted from major countries like United Kingdom, Canada, European Union, and other countries. That would be a massive, massive win for all the players involved in it. Secondly, I also understand that the massive program would be launched in coming 2 or 3 weeks. A massive reconstruction program would be launched across the Turkey, wherein the across the part of Turkey which borders with Syria. So the major part of Turkey which has been affected by 2 massive
Yes,
earthquakes.
yes,
So there
absolutely.
will be a major program of reconstruction program, thousands and thousands of houses, hospitals, schools, colleges, and governmental offices will be built again. And uh, sources on the ground say that these refugees will be involved into reconstruction. That is number two. And number three, another sources from the AK party, has been this speculation has been doing rounds on internet that uh, Erdogan has always shown a soft stand on the Syrian refugees, in comparison uh, to his opposition leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. So in comparison, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu wanted these refugees to go back, where Erdogan wants them to go back with dignity and pride. So he
Yeah,
wanted
there's
to
a difference, huge difference.
absolutely, absolutely. So he wanted to build. He has, in fact, built thousands and thousands of houses in northern Syria, wherein these refugees, would be settled. And again, America is supporting these refugees. These are the Sunni refugees. So the game is this is a larger part of the game. So they the, this is actually a very different video, and we'll be talking some other day. But let me give you a very short glimpse. In Syria, the war was always happening in between Shia and Sunni, supported by the Western powers from one side and another
Yes,
side.
yes.
Unfortunately, we do not support any other sides, but unfortunately, it was happening. So America is supporting these refugees, and they are good. They're okay. They are friends with Erdogan as well as the AK Party and Turkey, as long as Ankara sets a great supportive package, gives a great supportive package to these refugees. That's what is happening, and I'm sure that in incoming 4 or 5 weeks, a charter would be developed wherein these refugees, as of now, would be involved into reconstruction of new Turkey as soon as possible.
So, what I want to ask you is something that I really want to know personally as well. Turkey has been bearing the weight of the leadership of the Muslim nations. And in that case, how do you view the next 5 years of Erdogan as a leader, as the president of the Turkey?
Um, Well, I would say, next 5 years would be obviously, as I said, Erdogan is pro-Turkey. He has always been, pro-nationalist, so he would mainly focus because the challenge right now in front of Erdogan is 85% of the inflation is going on around Turkey. If at all any countries goes beyond 5 or 6%, a sort of trigger started going on in
Yes.
through central bank, through economists, and through other ideologues, which tell the government that we have to stop, because we have to stop the inflation. It will crash not only the economy but the public fare as well, the
Yes.
public welfare as well. Right now, the inflation a couple of months before it was around 85%, which has been dropped down to 45%. 45% is still a huge number which Erdogan has to tackle. And in next 1 or 2 years, lira would be progressing and the inflation would go down to 30%. So as I said, Erdogan is very, very pro-nationalist. He would first of all focus on rebuilding to Turkey because the 2 massive earthquakes has left each and every person, each and every household in shambles. And that
And
is
the
also one of
institutions as well.
absolutely,
Yes.
that's also one of the major reasons that you saw these 2 or 3%, the V kind of gap in between the oppositional leader and Erdogan was because the elderly people see Erdogan as a leader, as an Islamist leader, who would not only make Turkey progressive, but it will let them go on their feet, back on their feet as soon as possible. So that would be the first challenge. Secondly, related to international relations, I would say Russia and Turkey would be going on friends majorly, majorly. If you would see the previous deals, S-400 missiles were purchased by Turkey, despite having the there were a lot of sanctions from the United Nations. When Russia went into full war with Ukraine, European Union, NATO, and U.S. has sanctions with Russia. Despite that, Erdogan and Turkey and Qatar has maintained a very very massive good friendship, with Russia. And in coming years, there will be uh, trade deals, there will be artillery, ammunition, as well as other things, imports and exports in between Russia as well as Turkey. Despite being a NATO member, Turkey has not stopped being friends with Russia. They have maintained the bilateral terms with Russia. And at the same time, if we will talk about other countries, I think as of now, my perspective is that as of now, Turkey would be maintaining a very strong and firm ground for their own nation to make sure that they rebuild, because millions and millions of people are without homes, schools, colleges, hospitals, governmental buildings, and especially the refugees are at the vulnerable point right now. So engagement of refugees, reconstruction of Turkey, making sure that everyone should get back on their own feet would be the main focus of Erdogan, and the rest of the relations will follow as soon as possible. That's what
Dr.
I
Maqbool,
see.
Dr. Maqbool, I want to ask you, since you touched the Turkish international relations, I want to ask you that Turkey and Pakistan seem to be developing a bonhomie. In the recent years, of course, it has developed some sort of a heat. How do you view it? What does it mean for South Asia altogether?
Exercises have been happening. We'll see. A lot of countries do major exercises together. The military drills, the army drills, and navy drills. There has been exercises in between China and Pakistan army. There has been exercises in between the partner countries. So I don't see it
Turkey recently
as
opted out of the G20 meeting from Srinagar. It opted out of it. So, is there something that the Indian nation needs to consider or look at more closely?
I think this is the complete work of the foreign affairs and foreign ministry, to look and see how they will handle diplomacy. And I'm sure that our minister, Mr. Jaishankar, is totally capable of handling the international diplomacy, on its own. But I would say that a lot of nations, oppressed in the absenteeism, well, when there was a tourism meeting going on in Srinagar for a couple of days. I personally feel that it was because they Turkey, they were completely busy in their elections, and it would send a wrong notion if Turkey would have joined here in Kashmir. So we know that there is a lot of countries, including United Nations, see Kashmir as a dispute in between India and Pakistan. And in the past, United Nations has always said that they would provide good officers for both India and Pakistan to resolve the Kashmir issue as soon as possible. So there was a there was a vote going on in Turkey, and it would have sent a very positive message to their 50% voters that they have boycotted the Indian meeting in Kashmir for G20.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maqbool. It was really great talking to you and really enlightening. And I'm sure you will take out some time to appear on our program once again. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much.
Abrar, for inviting me. It was really an honor to be on your show. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Bye bye.